to learn one more new concept of organizational behavior, that is personality. So I'll make sure I add the description index in the description so you can directly go to any relevant topic that you want. So let's get started. So what is personality? So it's like when a person is given any situation, how he reacts, what are the attributes he considers, what is the things that comes to his mind first, what is his thought process. So all these things is combinedly used to identify a person, which we can term it as a personality. Okay, so now this personality is a combination of multiple elements. So as we can see, there are 7 elements which are categorized at the parent level. One is freedom. So in this element we are not having any kind of restrictions on the person. He can choose any kind of decision he wants. He is free to widen his scope and take decision whatever he wants. Next, behavior. As the situation changes, environment changes, behavior also changes. The way we behave at home, the way we behave at office differs. So that's why this element is also used to identify the personality. Now the peculiarity. So each individual has his own uniqueness and difference. So if a situation is given to a multiple person, everyone will interpret the situation differently and take the solution or identify or interpret the solution or situation differently. So that uniqueness of a person is termed as peculiarity here. Now next is physical, mental and moral qualities. So here physical attributes are nothing but, as we have seen in the previous topic where we have considered biographical attributes. So how tall, what is the complexion, how is all the physical attributes. It might be an age or it might be the color of eyes. So all those things will come under physical. Next, in the mental, we are seeing how intelligent and how his moral ability, or we can say how quickly he is able to deal with the situation, or his own uniqueness in terms of mental things. Moral qualities is his own values. It might be the terminal values, it might be the instrumental values. So all those moral we can say, even in 7th point we have habits. So this even habits is also a part of moral qualities, though at the surface level both are different, but habits has much more things to do with the moral qualities. So we can say even moral has a subcategory which is habits. Okay, now next is the 5th, adaptability to environment. So the person might interpret the same situation in one environment in one way, but the same situation is given in different circumstances. The things that one observes might differ because there might be the change in illumination, there might be change in the motion of any object. So even the issue or the situation is same, even the slight change in the environment, there might be a different interpretation. So how adaptive a person is, that we are terming it as an adaptability to environment. Next is the psychological system. So here all the parts which are used to analyze, okay, to think, to come to a conclusion. So all the parts which are used in this process are concluded in the psychological system. So next is habits. So these are things which we don't learn. Okay, these are the things which we do unconsciously and becomes a part of our daily routine. So these kind of things becomes unconsciously part of our daily routine. So those we can term it as an habits. So all the 7 elements together define what is the personality of a person. Next is stage of personality development. As these stages are given by different people in different numbers, though they are like sub classifications of one category, but this, if you can see, in this stages of personality development we have 5 stages. So these 5 stages are given by the Sigmund Freud. In the next topic we can see we have 8 stages. So those are given by Erikson stages. So first let's see what is Freudian stage. So Freudian stage, it is like Sigmund Freud is the one who propounded this theory. Now in this when a baby is born to the death of his life, we are categorizing his complete life into 5 subcategories. So first is the oral stage. So this is stage when a child is born. He is like still sucking milk. He is trying to see whether he is safe or not, whom to believe, what to believe or not. So that is oral stage. Next is the anal stage. So here he passes the first phase, of course, and now the person will be 1 year to 3 years. He will be able to try to move a bit. Okay, so compared to the first stage, his physical, so overall his physical attributes are getting strengthening. Okay, now the third is a Felix stage, in which the child is 3 to 5 years age. Now he is able to differentiate between the gender. He is able to understand his situation, his environment. In the fourth point, the latent stage, in which the child is from 6 years to 10. Okay, now 10 is not given, like the latent stage is not given any boundary condition, but it starts from the age of 6. So here, when the child is getting into primary schools, his social interactions are getting, and when his environment, his teachers or his parents, how they compare with others, so the encouragement, the motivation that the child is getting in this latent stage, based on this it might be a positive or negative personality. Because since the child is going to primary school, his thinking process is very fast, as it is the initial phase of his thinking process. Now this might be, we can consider this thinking process as a foundation of what his personality going to become in the upcoming stages. Now the genital stage. Okay, so in this stage we can say he is coming across an adolescence till the end. So this genital stage is a big, we can say, big group of an age. Okay, so here he is understanding about what are the feelings, what is happening in the situation. Okay, he know what relation is, he becomes a mature person. So these are the 5 categories that is propounded by the Sigmund Freud. Now the same stages of personality development, 8 stages are given by the Erikson. So we'll see one by one. Now first stage is trust versus mistrust. Okay, so here when the child is 1 to 2 years, he is trying to see, okay, what are the person who are helping him, okay, whom to trust, whom not to trust. So when I'm explaining these 8 stages, you can find, if we include, if we like group 2 or more points, that can be categorized as one single point mentioned by the Sigmund Freud. Okay, so for, that is the first stage. Now the second stage is autonomy versus shame and doubt. So this is the early childhood, 2 to 4 years, when he starts walking. That is, we have seen in Freud stage, where his physical attributes are getting strengthening. So here the child is trying to discover himself. He tries to walk, he tries to get out of the door. Okay, he tries to see what the environment is. Now this phase is continued by the next, initiative versus guilt. So here when he is getting out, he is seeing the environment, he tries to question what he is doing. Okay, what are the interests are decided in this stage, because based on what are the things he does, whether it is corrected by anyone or whether he is guided by anyone, so what are the things he needs to learn. So all this learning phase starts in this 4 to 5 years, when the student or the child is getting into preschool. Now fourth stage is industry versus inferiority school age. So here this name itself suggests that this age, 5 to 12 years of age, based on how we are behaving with that child in this stage, it is decided whether he is going to be a like extrovert, or he is going to be like a very calm kind of person, whether he is going to tell his thoughts to others or not. So we should, it's not like only the fourth stage, all the stages are important, but the fourth stage is very delicate thing. So based on this, how reactive or how proactive, what are the actions he is going to consider. Okay, so how openness he is going to be in the future, that is decided based on this industry versus inferiority. So here he tries to innovate, he tries to get motivated, he tries to motivate others by his actions. As we can see, more value is added when a person does something at his small age. Okay, so that we can see in the fourth point. Now the fifth point is identity versus confusion. Once he tries to understand all the activities that he is doing, he tries to understand what he needs to do, but here when he is doing something, he wants some awards to be given. Okay, he wants the recognition to be given. He wants to go out and explore and do all sort of things so that people can recognize him. Okay, so that is the identity versus confusion. Now next is the intimacy versus isolation. In this, the child or the person is in 20 to 40 years. Okay, so here the person take his long-term decision, like what he want to become, what domain he needs to study, okay, with whom he wants to have a relation. So all the long-term decisions are taken in this sixth phase, that is 20 to 40 years. If you can see, the sixth, seventh and eighth, all this comes under genital stage as per Sigmund Freud, but here we have categorized 20 to 40, then the generality versus stagnation. So this is 40 to 65, then 65 to death. So in 40 to 65, the person is already having a good amount of experience, so he becomes comfortable and is trying to contribute to the society. So this is a matured phase of a person. Okay, we can also term it as a pre-childhood, or we can like second childhood. Okay, now eighth is the integrity versus despair. So here the only thing that a person does is he looks at the history of his life, what he did so far. So if it's good, he tries to enjoy those moments, but if there is something that he missed to do, or he didn't do anything, he or she didn't do anything, then they try their remaining life in despair. So these are 8 stages mentioned by the Erikson. Now coming to the determinants of personality. Now in determinants of personality, we can see the first thing is the heredity. So here the person does not do anything, but how his parents, how his forefathers were behaving, how their openness was, how actively they were involving with others, so how their genes got developed or modified. Based on that, the child gets the context. Now the next thing is the environmental. So here you can see the name itself is there. The environment is there, student is there, or a person is there. Now what environment a person is staying, that is a major factor which will determine the personality of a person. So coming to the cultural factor, what is the intellectual beliefs, what is the social religious beliefs. Okay, so what is the scope that he has been exposed. So all the things will come under cultural factor. Now in the social factors, we can say that how he is involved with other people. It might be the nature, it might be the nature, family, friends, or it might be any non-living or living thing, but how he is getting involved with the other parts of our environment, that again plays a major role in defining the personality. Okay, now the third thing is the situational. So we know that in every situation, like in different situations, same issues will be faced in a different manner. So what are the situations, or what is the experience of a person so far? Okay, it might be a bad, or it might be a good, or how many obstacles he have came across. So if no situation is given, then it might be a negative point for him, because the more we came across new situations, the more development happens in our mind. So then there is a family. So what kind of ethnicity, what kind of moral values, what kind of principles are taught by the family, that again is an environment for a person. So apart from this, we have n number of other factors which determines what is the personality of a person. So basically these were 3 parent categories and 4 subcategories of the environment. Now next is theory of personality. So in this we have 5 theories of personalities. So if you can see, previously we have studied 5 stages of personality development. There we have seen the person who was behind that personality development was the Sigmund Freud. Again, this psychoanalytic theory is provided by Sigmund Freud. So here what is the emphasis, like what is the childhood experience, how he has been, in what environment he has been growing up, also what are his experiences. Okay, how every other living or non-living thing has been influenced him. So only that part will be considered to see what is the personality that is developed by the person. So here we have again 3 subcomponents. One is superego, ego and id. Okay, so superego is like a good person. So when we are thinking of doing something, okay, superego comes and speaks to us that we need to see whether things that we are doing, whether that is correct in terms of the principle that we are taught, that is correct in terms of illegal or legal policies, whether that is correct to the society. Okay, so this superego is our insider person which directs us to the correct route, though we are satisfied with it or not. Okay, but superego is like which shows us the correct path. Now we have the third, id. So it says that always satisfy yourself, don't care about the society or the values or the morals that one is possessed with. Okay, so id is like showing a path to satisfy yourself, but superego is like always make sure the things that we are doing is correct. But ego is like the bridge between the hybrid of super ego and it. So it makes sure that what we are doing is correct, and also not every time we avoid satisfying ourselves. So it makes sure that we are also satisfied, and what the things that we are doing, the thinking process, everything suits the norms of the society as well. Okay. Now neo-Freudian theory. So this, you can say everything what psychoanalytic theory is saying, neo-Freudian agrees with that, except the thing that in psychoanalytic theory we are saying that childhood experiences, his influences were the only thing to determine the personality of a person. But non-Freudian theory says that apart from that, the environment in which the child has been brought up, his friends, his relatives, okay, his neighbors, even the way he played, okay, his games, his physical, non-physical activities, all these things are also plays a major role in defining the personality of a person. Now the third theory is, totally we have 5 theories. In that third theory is the trait theory. This theory says that every person you take, every person will have a different set and unique set of features based on which we can differentiate between two persons. Okay, so some of the assumptions that this theory is taking is, as the trait of a person is like it is also growing up with a person, but these traits will not change so drastically, or these are something which are stays throughout the life of a person, but there are some life-changing moments or some unusual exceptional behavior when the trait might slightly vary, but overall the traits remain same. So this theory is allowing that, or it is saying that variations in the traits of different individuals might vary. Okay, so here that variation is considered, and we can say that always the traits are not going to remain same. It is going to change, and again it is going to come back to its original phase. So those coming, the change and the getting back to its original state, so those kind of things are also considered with respect to traits. But in general, when we are strict about any traits, it is like throughout the life, when the child is passing through all the 5 stages of personality development, traits will remain same. Okay. Now in the fourth, that is social learning theory, it is a self-explanatory saying, with the social involvement, learning is happening. Okay, so people can learn by observing others. So here internal mental condition is very essential part of a learning process, and learning doesn't necessarily result in change in his or her behavior. So every time we learn, we change, but our traits or personality will, for sure, it will not going to affect every time. It will affect, it will change, but it will stay relatively same, and it will not change very drastically. Now the fifth and the final theory is the self theory. So this is given by Carl Rogers, and like we have 5 stages of personality development, there is one more theory in which there are 19 stages, we can say. But in the theory emphasis is that when a child is born, there is a small dot in a person, which we can say as self. So this self grows as the person goes. So what is there in that self is, it is the principles, the moral values, the innate nature. So everything, all these things comes under a point which is called a self, and this self grows as the child grows and passes to all the 5 stages of development. So that was the self theory. So overall we had these 5 theories of personality. One is psychoanalytic theories, okay, then neo-Freudian theories, trait theory, social learning theory, and finally self theory. Now once we are done with theories, so we have something called this big 5 oceans. So these big 5 oceans, the attributes or parameters which significantly determines how the person's behavior varies. So one is extroversion, second is conciseness, agreeableness, emotion stability, and openness to experience. So these are like not in the order of the ocean, but if you can see, O is for openness, C is for conciseness. Okay, the term is different, but the saying is how much we are aware of the environment, or we can say hot news or everything. Okay, then E is for emotional stability, not getting angry too much or very quickly. It is like not becoming a short tempered, or how calm a person is. And then we have agreeableness. So you debate, you talk, you decide, but how the way, okay, the way you are influencing other, or the way you are getting influenced. So finally conclusion what we are getting, that comes under agreeableness. Now the N, that is the final, here N points to the extroversion. Okay, so how open or how he is able to deal with the person. So not keeping the thought that he is thinking, or not keeping the conclusions that a person is getting to himself, but he is explaining to the other environment in which the person is at that point of time. Okay, now the final topic is our locus of control. So if you can see, in locus of control means which are the parts which are responsible for any action that is happening. So for suppose I got an award, okay, and if I am saying that my principal is the one, my teacher is the one who inspired me and they are behind this award, so it's like I am giving credit to them. Okay, so that will be my external locus of control. But if I am saying that I did the hard work, I was the only person who really did something, and it was as expected, I got the award. So if I am taking the credits for the award, then it is internal locus of control. So it is not only the good one, but also blaming someone else, that is an external factor. So that is external locus of control. Now if something wrong happens as a team leader, if I am taking responsibility of that, so that will again become an internal. So if I am taking credits or blame, that will be an internal locus of control. But if I am giving credits or blaming, okay, so in terms of this complete the topics that we have discussed, personality. So in this respect to this personality topic, if you have any queries, please write down in the comment section. In the next video, we are going to see all the topics that comes under attitude for the organizational behavior. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you.